I know there's some students who couldn't make it tonight, so I'm recording it for their benefit. I want to welcome all the students now. We're up to about 17 students. And of course, thank you to Mark Johnson for agreeing to do this. Mark has been an excellent resource for MEM for several years now. He's our executive in residence. If people don't know what that is, that's usually a retired executive who donates their precious time, but more importantly, their knowledge, expertise, and social network to help you guys out as students of the MEM program. Not every program has an EIR. Not even Kellogg, I don't think, has necessarily EIR. So I think this is a good thing for MEM. It's a great thing for us because of Mark's historical work. If you don't know it, he's already been working on several projects where there's several more that are going to come out in the next 72 hours. So keep your eyes out for that. Not just from Mark, but actually we've got others that are coming from all sorts of places. So I'm having a hard time keeping track of all these projects. But in terms of industry night, which is coming up on the 14th in the evening, again, hopefully you saw my post on Canvas. We're hoping folks will come up, in business attire, so that for us guys, that's generally suit and tie, or the gals equivalent. But I guess what I would also say is we have seating assignments that we're trying to work out for dinner. So we're going to have 10 tables, 8 tables with 10 people per table. We've got the industry folks spread strategically around those tables. So they've been assigned on a pre-assigned basis. What I've done is I've gone to Canvas and I've created, in essence, groups that you can then self-assign yourselves. So be cautious, I guess, in terms of which company. Let's say you want to sit with Accenture, or you want to sit with the guy that's representing Booz Allen Hamilton, or maybe you want to sit with CTI, Chicago Tube and Iron. That's Professor Don McNeely himself, and he's also CEO of that company. So this is kind of the complement to that list that I published a few days ago. Now, here's where you get to strategically choose. Where do you want to sit for the dinner portion? And unfortunately, it's first come, first serve. We got 5 student seats for each table and upwards of 3 or 4 industry reps per table as well. So it's on Canvas. It's in the group section. It's under Industry Night 2023. So you guys can make your own selections there. We're going to be publishing tomorrow the calendar for next quarter, so you know what classes are offered when. It'll be a little bit different from last year, so keep an eye out for that. And also keep an eye out, like I said, for various projects that are going to be coming up, both from Mark and from myself. And so today I'm going to turn it over to Mark and let him run it from here. I'll let him share his screen. And he's going to give you an option, I think, as to how you want to proceed tonight, because there's a couple of ways we can do this. So, Mark, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Werweth. So this is kind of like a professional etiquette class, so don't take it seriously. And it's not law, so it's elective. But kind of to loosen it up and make yourself feel comfortable is that whatever you do positively, or as we've seen in the United States, negatively, to make an impression is a good thing. So that's what you're doing. You're not really going to go into deep exchanges with anybody, but you will meet a lot of people. And, just to make an impression, not just a positive one, it could be that you spilt a drink on your dress, right? It could be something like that, but still something somebody's going to remember you from. And again, don't take this seriously. It's social, it's elective, and it should be fun for you, really. So let me share what Dr. Werweth and I put together for kind of like a.
So while he's pulling it up, I will mention what I tell my entrepreneurship students is that when you're pitching your business, engineers aren't expected to be perfect. In fact, engineers being a little bit clumsy or self-conscious or a little bit awkward,
right,
has an endearing quality that some folks like. So if you're overly polished and overly ambitious, let's say, or perhaps too rehearsed. And by the way, I've interviewed dozens of candidates over the last few days, and I can tell the rehearsed ones like that. I mean, the ones that literally somehow got my questions ahead of time and they're rehearsing the answers, and it's self-evident and it's not not terribly impressive. And I fight the yawn. I mean, I'm literally trying to stay awake for most of it. So you want to capture my attention, be spontaneous, but also be genuine, and draw from your real experience and not something rehearsed. But I'll turn it back to Mark.
Right. No, you're right on. And the point is, as Dr. Werweth is saying, hey, you're professional engineers. You'll see somewhere in this presentation, the unemployment rate for engineers today in the United States is 2%. The national unemployment rate is what, 3.8 or 6 or something like that. So any way you cut it, everybody you meet is going to want to hire you, whether they know it or not. So keep that in the back of your mind. And Mark's right. The standing joke about engineers is that all of the people around them are going to be working for you, right? Because you're the smartest, you're the ones that put things together and create new businesses. So again, go with that confidence that being a geek or a techie or a propeller head is actually a extremely endearing, positive approach. So use that to your advantage. Now, being a smarty or know-it-all, that's boring. But being somebody that's really into the weeds about weird things, like, one arcane example is we're doing solar plus storage plus EV charging. It's DC coupled. And, to engineers, they get it, right? Oh, DC coupled, that's cool, rather than DC AC coupled. So, but that's in the weeds, and people will remember that. They'll go, oh yeah, that was a weird thing. And so use that to your advantage, as Mark says. But I thought what we do for that, I guess we have an hour, right, Mark?
That's right.
Yeah. So we can do it, where you guys pitch all of us, right? Give us your elevator pitch or your fun fact or, icebreakers, want to call it, or you can break up into teams and do it one-on-one with each other. It's your choice. We'll get to that in a minute. Keep that in the back of your mind. The number one point here is that you're invited and welcome to contact me anytime for me to help you with your career, whether that's an introduction to anybody. And people that have taken advantage of this know that I do that right then and there. But just another example, a student 2 days ago said, I really want to meet Eric Burkett's because I've never heard of, the Clean Energy Trust. And of course, Mark, you know them well. You know Eric very well. He's been serving with you on the board for many years. And immediately I introduced him on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn InMail, you can obviously do a group introduction real fast and take it from there. And good, the funny part about LinkedIn, and I encourage every LinkedIn profile that Mark's given you for who's attending on the dinner next, the 14th, you should become friends with them or connections with them. But LinkedIn hounds people, as you probably know, to answer their LinkedIn emails, which is better than Gmail or their professional email. So it's good there. And then we'll just go through, my different approach. Now, you got this from Mark earlier. So there, the dress code, the QR codes, the where to go and what to do. So this is just more background for you. But again, I want to stress that, I know you have self-confidence. I know you're proud of yourself, but give yourself another pat on the back before you go into this situation. It's a lot of people. It's crowded. There are a lot of people. They're all impressive. Everybody there is like a big deal, right? You can get one of these little signs for your desk too. So but don't let that worry you. You're there to have fun and enjoy yourself. Your background, because you're a professional engineer with years of experience, and now you're at one of the greatest universities in the world, and certainly one of the top universities in the United States, but you have these skills, right? These geeky skills, analytical skills. You're very detailed. It drives your parents probably crazy, but that's the way you are. You're extremely technical. You know behavioral science, business best practices, tools, how to use tools, analytical tools, financial modeling, all that stuff. So be proud of that, because not a lot of people have that. And that is the future. That certainly the United States economic engine, the front wheel is technology. It always is, always has been, and always will be. So whether it's artificial intelligence applied to data sets that you've been working with for 10 years, that's a new tool for you, right? Or if it's digital cryptographic databases known as blockchain, hey, it doesn't scare you. So that's why you should be proud and keep that in mind, and tell people that, hey, I'm a geek, I'm tech head, so what? But and that could be a point of the conversation. Use it to your advantage, as Mark says. One thing I do encourage you is bring a little tiny pad, you can see them at your hotel type thing, where it's very small, just fits in it's just a folded piece of paper, so you can make notes and write the person's name down or scribble it somehow. I know it sounds awkward, and I know it sounds kind of imposing, but do it, because you may forget their name, right? So even if you can write Bill and you don't know his last name, or Judy or something, it'll remind you to look them up afterwards. So again, just a small piece of paper that'll fit in the palm of your hand, that you could put in your pocket and pull out when you want to take a note. Certainly don't pull out your iPhone or your MacBook. That will definitely be uncool. So let's see what else. That's it. Connect with everybody on LinkedIn. That's good there. Oh, you're all international, right? My wife is Sri Lankan. She taught me a long time ago, just smile, right? Because you guys all have perfect teeth, right? You have great dental care. So whenever you're nervous or scared or whatever, just smile. Just open up those lips and let them see your teeth. And that, even when you're stumped for an answer or something, if you smile, you can hide behind that while you're trying to think of what to do, to say or do. But there's nothing right or wrong with what you say or do. It doesn't matter, because they're there too to help you. Everybody invited to this event that's not a Northwestern faculty or student is there to help you, and you should treat them that way. So again, use your sense of humor, use your geekiness. Don't try to buttonhole somebody for 20 minutes. You only have a couple of minutes each time. And I know this is a lot to ask, but offer to help them. Just point out blank. What can I do to help you? That's a very offensive statement in a proactive way. What can I do to help you with what challenges you're facing in your business, your government, whoever that person is. And here's some great questions that you're welcome to use, just as icebreakers. And these are just suggestions, ideas to kind of get the ball rolling for yourself. So, and pick on a couple of them, right? But these questions are not offensive. They're not intrusive. They're acceptable to everybody. And you should feel very comfortable asking one or many of these questions of anybody you meet. That's what they're there for. So, and the point too, as you know, networking, this may not be an immediate job or opportunity, but it could be a referral, right? Could be a recommendation. It could be an introduction. So again, just smile, be geeky, be proud to be an engineer, and ask kind of, simple questions, not stupid questions, but simple ones. How are you related to MEM? How did you get invited here? What did you do? Were you an MEM grad, right? Probably not, but it's kind of fun to ask them that type of question. And what are you working on? What are your challenges? What do you see as a big problem, issue? And they could say recruiting or onboarding people or making AI work for our industry. Who knows? But it'll be interesting. So anybody have any questions?
I had one over here.
Yep.
You mentioned earlier, bring a notepad to take notes or to write down names. And I've tried that in the past and it's great. I think now with technology, there's like with the iPad and an Apple Pencil, like some folks in the class have that. Is that an
Yep.
acceptable substitute, or is it still just go with
It might be too big, right? The iPad, but if it's not too big and not obtrusive, I would say go for it, Danielle. Give it a shot, right? The only reason I say take a piece of paper, basically it's like writing on your palm. It's easy, it's fast. But if it's an iPad and it works for you, it's a little bit bigger, right? So might be just a little bit too much unobtrusive, but certainly not your MacBook, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, give it a shot if it works. You will not remember everybody's name, and I know the QR codes on their little badge type thing, but I don't know if you're going to be able to use that. If you just get their first or last name, that's good enough, or even parts of it, because again, Mark sent you all the LinkedIn, so you could work it backwards. And Regina, definitely speak Spanish if they speak Spanish.
Will do then.
Don't be embarrassed. You can do it.
Oh no, I'm not embarrassed. I've learned to embrace it in a way,
Yeah,
making a
that's
fool
right.
out of myself.
That's right. Well, you all have great stories. You could, obviously the weather is a common one in the city of Chicago. And the standing joke is we would have moved on had the weather gotten better, but it never did. So, things like that, the weather's a good standby, but engineering and technology is so well known to be the leader of the free world. That's exactly. And the other thing too is the macro events of the federal funding that's going to the states and the cities and the counties and all the industry for all of this Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, Inflation Reduction Act, blah blah blah, the CHIPS Act. It's all coming to benefit you, not for 1 year, but for 5 to 10 years. So all of that money eventually is going to hit everybody in that room. That's a topic of conversation. That's going to float all boats. So again, you got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's good to be up on current events to make sure that especially anything that involves industry or funding, so cybersecurity issues, what's happening with the grid, for example, the grid's being physically attacked.
Yeah.
Cyber attacks are happening, all sorts of things are happening. So at least have some kind of superficial understanding of some of these things so that when you go in, at least you can bring up something topical. Mark, we're up to about 27 or actually 26 students at this point. What if we had a couple of students share their elevator pitch for themselves in the large group, and then we break into small group? How does that sound?
Yeah, let's do that. Could you manage that, Mark? Because I don't have kind of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can set up the breakout rooms, and if you want to pick on a few students to do their elevator pitch in front of us, I think an elevator pitch in my mind is something like 30 seconds?
Or less, it could be very less, but let's do that. Let's have volunteers volunteer to do, as Mark said, an elevator pitch and or just an icebreaker, right? Like I just did, as you can imagine, an icebreaker for you. So something funny or not funny, something technical, something interesting, where you get to have us as the foreign, the unknown person. So anybody want to give us a shot? Regina, you get to do it in Spanish if you want.
That way 90% of us cannot give you any feedback.
Maybe 95.
I know a couple that can.
Oh, do you? Good. Anybody want to step up? It's free. It's included in your tuition.
It's not quite free then.
What do you guys think of these icebreaker questions? These are pretty easy, right? One thing I've noticed being at these events, and I've been to a couple of the industry night events, is the stiffness of this MEMers. So I think that if you just enjoyed yourself, because it is excellent food, a great view, great venue, and it's, there's drinks and food, so what can be bad? But I would try to enjoy yourself more, and maybe that's the approach you should come to the party with. Is this is a party, right? This is a fun thing to do. Let's enjoy this. So coming with your smile and engaging with strangers at a party essentially is what you're doing.
So I can create the breakout rooms right now if you want, Mark, and let them just go straight into those breakout rooms and then come back and give us a debrief.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, let's do that. If no volunteers.
Yeah, I don't see anyone volunteering. So I'm going to create 14 breakout rooms. And remember, what you're trying to do is an icebreaker, an introductory statement, a way to approach a stranger, whether it's your elevator pitch about, hey, I'm, Mark, and I'm a program director at Northwestern here and a McCormick school. I've been doing it for 10 years or whatever. So you find out your cadence and what you want to share and what you think might make sense in terms of, the context, right?
Right. The other thing too is don't forget and go with confidence that you likely connected with these people before you got to the party through the LinkedIn, right? So they kind of may know you, right? There should be like a warm, well, there will be a warm greeting, of course, because they're Northwestern type people, but go with confidence that you probably are linked in with them. And again, what is your goal? Your purpose is a connection. That's it. It's not a job. It's not money. It's not, to get married or any of that stuff. It's really just to meet people. It will flow what's going to happen after that, whether it's a referral or a recommendation or a hire or something, a recruitment, but it'll flow from that. And again, I can assure you that every one of you, if you were ever hired or worked or teamed with anybody, your reviews would be superlative. They would be excellent and magnificent. I can assure you. I know. I've worked with you. So that part I wouldn't even worry about. We know you can do whatever job there is to do. So it's really just a question of matchmaking and connections and serendipity and those types of things.
So I'll create the 14 rooms. We can break out in pairs. I'll let you guys self-select the room that you want. And we'll spend 15 minutes, Mark? Come back at 5:10, 5:11?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to open the rooms now.
Professor, join any random room.
Yeah, you can either join an empty room or find somebody that you want to pair up with and join in that room. But try to do no more than 2 per room.
Okay.
What do you think, Mark? That about right? 2 per room?
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think that'd be fun.
So Viniac shared an elevator pitch template for everybody, so.
Oh, cool.
Okay, we got a few empty rooms. Perry and Prakar and Villain, if you want to find a room. In fact, maybe the 3 of you can share a room since we have an odd number. We got some rooms with 3 people. So Mark, we got a wonderful turnout.
Oh, congratulations. That's great.
Well, congratulations to you. You're the one who, you're the celebrity here.
I must say, if you and I were in this situation, we would definitely be in attendance. You and I, we would definitely be at this.
Yeah, I actually, I'm not being into networking myself.
Yeah, I don't like people.
Yeah, me neither. That's why you went into sales, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Overcome my fear and loathing of people.
So for students who've just joined, Reza and Villain, if you want to find a breakout room, what we're doing is an exercise of basically practicing your elevator pitch and some of the icebreakers that Mark introduced on the shared screen.
Got it. Thank you, Mark and Mark Warworth and Mark Johnson for the Zoom and for organizing the industry
No
night. I
problem.
really appreciate it.
No
Oh,
problem.
yeah.
No problem.
And Mark, you can send in the notes if you want this PowerPoint.
Okay.
So
Or if you want to just put it in the chat, you can make it an attachment to the chat.
okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ren, what do you think? So far, so good, or what?
Yeah, so I went and double checked, and we have a ton of the MEM branded notepads, the ones that we are gonna bring. So it's
That's
smaller
cool.
than an iPad, but definitely bigger than the palm of your hand. Honestly though,
Work.
I don't have the biggest hands, and it's about 2 hand sizes for the pad, so it's not too huge. And so students can use that if they want to take notes, while they're networking. And, we have about 1,000 pins, so we'll be bringing those.
Okay. Well, I set up the tables, as you saw, in the group section of Canvas, and already some of the students are starting to pick
That's fantastic.
where they want to sit, but it's obvious that some tables don't have any students yet.
You just put it up today.
Yeah, I just put
It's
it up
early days.
literally an hour ago, so yeah. No, what I'm saying is that there's some tables are much more popular than others. So.
Yeah. But we'll flesh them out. I mean, we have staff that we also need to put at the tables.
Sure.
But it's, we want the students to have first pick of the available space.
So Shivangi, it looks like room 12 is looking for somebody if you want to join a room. I can't hear you because you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Professor. Actually, my team member has to join a meeting, so she left. So yeah, I was just looking for another room. Maybe I'll join room 12.
Yeah, try room 12 because Prakar's been there alone for some time. I'm sure he's lonely.
Okay. Cool.
There you go. And Villain, I'm not sure what happened to Villain. I hope he's still with us. He could be dialed into 2 meetings at once. Now, this is interesting because in general, these students that aren't paired up that often, right? They're either working on their individual assignments or they're sitting in a big classroom, right?
Oh, that's cool.
So, Mark, have you met Renaissance? You know Renaissance, right?
Yeah, we
We've
worked.
been in a couple
together.
meetings.
Yeah,
Okay,
we also worked on that student project together. Thank you, Renaissance.
Yeah, you very generous. So I was joking with Mark about it the other day.
Oh golly, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a three beer story. That's a 3 beer. I think we railroaded that poor guy, but he's happy. As you know, he's very happy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
and he's not, he's not homeless on the street as a result, right? I mean,
No, yeah, and it's not his money either.
there you go.
You know, it's free funding, so it went to a good cause. And he's getting a lot, so. Okay. Yeah, I think the point on the pads, Renaissance, is that you guys know when you're meeting somebody, you never really can remember their name unless you do something with it, like, you know, Mark and Bark or something. And
Yeah, some kind of mnemonic device
Yeah.
and there's only so many mnemonic devices you can come up with. Like
right, and because you forget those, right?
right.
So I found out what works for me, even if I get a part of a name, then I can look them up on LinkedIn, and that's good, you know. So that's what the students need, because I do encourage everybody to follow up, right? Thank you. It was fun meeting you. Great to chat at the industry night. You know, reach out if I can help you type follow up. It takes no time at all, and you can copy and paste that kind of response in LinkedIn to everybody you met fast. So I think that's what the student should do. Because people think about things and they say, you know, I've got an idea, you know, let's do this.
So Rashab and Perry, if you want to spend more time in the breakout room, we're not getting together for a few more minutes.
Sure, Professor. I thought we had done, so we'll just come in.
Okay. How much more time do we want to give them, Mark? 5 more minutes?
Yeah, are people coming out right now, Mark? Are they
They're
done?
starting to. Yeah, they're starting to.
Well, let's just, yeah, a couple more minutes and we can continue, because we only have 25 more minutes left.
Okay, I'll say, how much time? 5 minutes?
Yeah, that would be good. You know, it's funny, Mark, I think you're right that I know that most students know each other, but maybe not in a real deep sense. It's gonna be funny to just to meet your fellow classmates.
Let's see how they do.
Yeah.
I guess when we do the debrief, we can ask folks, what they discovered or what they learned. And what was maybe a particular challenge for them.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna give them the 1-minute warning and close the rooms.
Mark, where did you get to be so literate? Just out of sheer audio visual desperation over the years?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, literate in terms of making Zoom work.
No, not Zoom, everything.
Oh,
Because
everything.
yeah, I mean, I was doing the Northwestern Energy Club the other day and we couldn't get the volume going. And I've seen you do the same thing, but I think through the years of just beating on the equipment, you figured it out.
Yeah, I guess that's it's these machines I'm pretty familiar with. So
Yeah.
I think everybody is back. At least they should be. So why don't we get started, Mark?
Yeah, thank you for doing this. Does anybody have any something they want to share about the experience? Anybody embarrassed?
Yeah, Professor, I can go here. I mean, there was one feedback was like, should be very short. You should be keep only 1 or 2 good points about you, and that
Yeah.
and you should not be like rambling everything that you have, so that the attention gets the span of attention gets too large. So the focus should be on 1 or 2 aspects, and on those 1 or 2 aspects you can build the conversation.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, you've often heard the joke about, I can't remember who, it could have been Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, who said, I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. So as you know, if you go too long with a verbal introduction and or an email or a text or a letter, people realize you're not really thinking things through. So 1 or 2 points is a great idea, just to kick it off. And you really want to listen to the other person talk, right? Ideally, it should be 20% you talking, 80% them. Keep that in mind. That should be an ideal. It won't happen that way. It'll be more 50-50. But if you try to get 80% where you're listening and they're talking, that would be better. Anybody else have any insights?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So my doubt is like whenever we start doing conversation, so what is the right time to pitch, to give the elevator pitch? Because like for the first time, if I'm communicating with first person in the networking event, it went well. And after that, I feel like I'm repeating myself and the things are seems like artificial, not the natural.
Yeah. Great point. Great point. I mean, and you've heard stories of 100 pitches and 100 no's. So you're right. And you're right. You can almost hear yourself saying the same pitch and you're going, oh my God, I'm so boring, right? I just gave that pitch and I hear myself again. So you're right. It happens to all of us. I would just, compartmentalize that thought. You've got to do it. So entertain yourself, maybe switch it up, make it entertaining, but it is evident and you're 100% correct. And it is true that it sounds boring to you and repetitive to you. But again, it's the law of numbers. You know that you're going to get 100 no's. So this may be a quicker way to your no or quicker way to your yes. So just make it interesting for yourself, your pitch. You're right.
You can also mix it up, even change it around a little bit so that you don't, if you're boring yourself, it'll come across to the other side. So
yeah.
if you can keep yourself amused, then maybe you can keep the other side amused too, right?
And another point that picks up on what you just said, Prakar, is that, we often think if we make a connection, we did the pitch, we're in a process, right? We're in consideration, we're in discussions, and these people end up ghosting you and you think, what did I do? How did I get ghosted? What's going on? That's out of your control, right? If there are probably reasons beyond your knowledge as to why they ghosted you and there is no follow-up, don't worry about it. It happens all the time. Could be they got fired, could be they got sick and had to leave the company, could be they're not interested anymore, they don't have a budget, and they're just embarrassed to tell you. So don't ever worry about that. If your mission is big enough and it's worthy enough, somebody will get it. Somebody. And that's all you're asking at industry night. You're just saying, hey, I'm a brilliant engineer. I've worked my ass off. I'm here at Northwestern. I really am passionate about this specific thing. Do you know who would be interested in that? Can you help me? And conversely, do you have a project that you need technical expertise, analytical skills, project management office that I can provide? Because that's what I'm very good at. I'm a professional in that score. So it's kind of funny, but you're exactly right. Your pitch is boring to yourself for sure.
The classic question you're going to be asked is probably, what have you been working on, right? Or what's your area of concentration? If they ask you the first question, I mean, I've noticed that the entrepreneurs are able to keep the other side more engaged because they're working on something new. They're not working on some case study that was, published, 10 years ago. They're not even worried about some textbook somewhere. The entrepreneurs are working on leading edge stuff that maybe nobody else is working on. So that's when you get the other side to kind of lean in and say, really, tell me more. Yeah. When they get to that stage where they're saying, tell me more, you've got some kind of hook in them, right? So, progressively take it to the next level of detail. So if you just say, hey, I'm working on a startup that's all about lithium mining for the electric vehicle industry, and you just stop right there, 1 or 2 sentences, stop right there, see if they're interested. If they're not, I mean, clearly EVs or lithium, that's not their thing, that's great. Talk to the next person, right? But if they say, really, wow, that sounds great, tell me, what have you learned? Or what did you discover? Or what insights did you create? whether it's a startup or whether it's a research project or even a classroom project, have something that you're ready to queue up and say, okay, this is what I've been working on and this is what excites me, right?
Well, Mark makes a great point. I mean, as you know, there's a lot of students at MEM that did over the last quite a few years, microgrids and or blockchain for energy. And we all know on this call, there is no blockchain in energy, right? But we worked on these projects and it was cool. And it was funny. The greatest benefit of working on blockchain for energy was that you could use it as an icebreaker. Isn't that hilarious? That it has no commercial value at all. It's not practically used in engineering at all. It should be, and it will be at some point, but it's like saying artificial intelligence to search databases for commonalities, right? And we'll get there, right? That'll happen. But it's an icebreaker. It's an attention getter. And the students that worked on blockchain had more people interested in talking about that, not because they knew they were going to use it, just to discuss it. It was just like talking about chocolate cupcakes, right? Instead of chocolate cupcakes that happen to be, microgrids or blockchain. Weird.
And if you can think of nothing that you're working on that has any interest at all to anybody, then I would spend the next 48 hours just exploring Chat GPT, because that's the topic of the day.
Yeah.
That's what everyone seems to be working on. And you can experiment with it in less than an hour and probably come up with some insights. So here are my insights, right? I used it for about 30 minutes and I found that half of the answers made no sense.
Right.
And the other half were elaborate and detailed and pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
Am I worried about it in the classroom? Am I worried that people are going to use ChatGPT to answer an exam question? Yeah, and I'm changing my questions so that ChatGPT or any other tool shouldn't be able to answer them. So, these are the sorts of, just anticipate, where are people coming from? What are they reading in the papers? As engineers, as data scientists, as managers, engineering managers, what's uppermost in our minds these days,
Right. There's a lot of topical subjects that you could talk about. Like, you guys know that ESG is like smoke and mirrors and greenwashing, and people have a very kind of bad opinion of it. So that's a topic of discussion, right? And that's engineering, right? That can easily be solved by engineering. We could track and trace things very methodically and eradicate ESG problems, but we're not there yet, right? There's no common protocol or procedure. So Mark's right. There's a lot of different subjects in the engineering field that people are very well aware of that will happen, right? I mean, funnily enough, right? Elon and Amazon are sending up satellites, and that's for streaming. That's for your cell service. That's what's winning the war right now in the Eastern European, right? It's the satellite technology. So technology is always going to be topical, and everything that we do is interesting. It really is.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Professor, for the insights. I'll keep these things in my mind in the next networking event. And one more thing I would like to ask is, whenever we have to ask for referral or for the internship or for the full-time positions, so should it be the subtle or should it be the straightforward, like, do you have the internship?
Right.
Should it be like this?
I think at this industry night, it'd be tough to ask that question, because, but to answer your question, yes, you have to ask, would you like me to be an intern? Do you have an internship opening? Do you have a career opportunity? And you can definitely do that in LinkedIn as a follow-up. Everybody you meet at industry night, you need to be a LinkedIn connection with, and you need to send them a one sentence, hey, it was great to see you. Do you have any internships or career opportunities for me? reach out if I could help you in your business, love, peace, that, and I'm out of here. So you should send a thank you to everybody you talk to, just for the fun of it. Just as a matter of case, they'll be shocked that they get a response in LinkedIn from you. They will be absolutely shocked. But again, you can copy and paste that same answer to all what? How many people are you really going to meet? 5, 10? Not that many. Not really that many.
And I'll be posting some projects, as I mentioned earlier, but I mean, let's keep in mind that many of the people at the session might actually have projects of their own. So,
Yeah.
Short of internships and full-time jobs, you've still got a quarter and a half to go before the end of the school year. And many of you are coming back next year as well. So there's an opportunity to work on projects, beyond the next 6 weeks and possibly into the next 15 weeks. So
I don't think it's rude to ask. I
No.
really don't, because you're there to do practical application of engineering in the field, and tell them that, hey, listen, I don't mean to be rude, but we're here to find projects that we can hone our skills on. You got any? You got anything? Can I help you? You know that everybody there has a project for you. They really do. And they certainly can afford it, to pay you for it, to cut down on your tuition. So it's just, I don't think it's rude. I don't think it's offensive. I don't think it's it's certainly not out of character. It's just, what stage do you ask them, right? With the cocktail in hand on the first meeting, it might be tough, right? It might be tough. But ask them in LinkedIn, hey, great to see you. Got any job opportunities or projects I can help you with? Because you really can help them. I mean, you really can help them.
So in case you're curious, let me just share with you the stuff that I'm aware of now. Jay Goldstein, who's going to be at the session, he says he's from Jacob River, but that's his personal consulting firm. Who he's working with these days is Booz Allen Hamilton, and they're trying to do a project with him. So you might, if you run into Jay, right, or find a way to run into Jay, and ask him what the nature of that project is, right?
And Booz Allen is one of the largest federal consultancies, right? So all this federal money, we were just talking about, the $2 trillion historic funding, that's going to go to Booz Allen, part of it anyway, and hopefully in your pocket.
So Ian Weiss, who does a lot of work in material science, he's doing some projects as well. And he's going to, in fact, he's got a write-up that he's going to be, and I'll be publishing probably in the next 24 hours for you guys. So you might want, if you run into Ian, who teaches the 490 class, and he's also been working with me on New Bench and Energy, you can ask him about that project. Iqbal Ashad, who is an alum from, I don't know, many years ago, more than a decade, right? He works on a lot of analytics projects. He used to be CTO of Motorola. He's got a company called X Coefficient, and what they work on is digital healthcare. So in particular, glucose monitoring systems, continuous glucose monitoring. And I think some of our students have already worked on those projects, and he's looking for follow-ups for that. So those are 3 that I know of now, and I'll try to post some more in the next few days and some more details about these as well. So keep your eyes open for it. But I mean, I think Mark's right. Almost everybody has some kind of project, right? So, you've got folks from Northwestern Memorial Hospital, and I know many of you aren't that interested in hospitals or healthcare. It's one of the biggest, fastest growing, and probably one of the more stable industries we've got at the moment, right? I have not seen yet a hospital system that's doing significant layoffs compared to Google or Amazon. Right. So who have we got? Rebecca Corzat. She works at NMH. She's always got a project. And oh, by the way, people don't realize this, but she's teaching a summer class. And in that summer class, she has effectively an internship built into that class. So whether it's paid or unpaid, whether it extends into the fall, it's going to be about hospital operations. It's going to be about streamlining, capacity planning, the types of things that she does as an operations. Effectively, she's an operational engineer at Lake Forest Hospital. So, and she's got connections to 14 other hospitals in the network. Okay, so it's not just what's happening at Lake Forest.
Well, the
these
other
are the-
fun thing about hospitals, Mark, is to do solar storage EV charging at their parking garages, right? God knows every doctor at the hospital's got a Tesla, right? And we all know they don't have chargers. So putting charging from solar storage in the hospital parking lot is a great engineering project.
And frankly, yeah, I know of at least 3 or 4 hospitals in the area, and Mark's right, none of them have EV charging at all. And, you know, frankly, they could probably be done at close to zero cost these days
Right.
because of the subsidies from the federal government. So
Right, right.
anyone who's involved on the operations side of a hospital should at least be thinking about this, if nothing else, be thinking about energy saving, because right now that's a cost to their business, right? And if they don't want to go EV, they can certainly go towards net metering or other ways to, you know, save on their energy bills, because everyone's energy bills are going up.
Right. Is Tim gonna be there, Mark?
Yeah, Tim Stoica will be there, and Tim, so what, I think he's going to be there. I invited him.
Yeah.
And I will probably post a project for Tim as well. Tim's working on his next startup. So if you don't know who Tim Stoica is, the answer is yes, I'll be posting these on Canvas. But Stoica used to run Agentis, which was about data analytics in the energy space. So electric energy usage for commercial customers. So he was a B2B type of guy, right? And he had a recent exit. So he's looking for ways to spend his time and his money, right?
He's got a lot of
And
money. He's got a
he's
lot
got a lot of
money.
money because he had a very successful exit. And he's looking for his next startup, which he tells me is going to have something to do with blockchain and something to do with energy and something to do with commercial customers. Now, how he combines all that, I'm not sure, but that's his next project. And I think it's mostly exploratory. So this would be market research, customer discovery, kind of the same stuff you're learning in class, just focused on a startup. So.
Yeah, and that's another point too, that's obvious. Some of these people are extremely wealthy, but they miss, you know, being hungry. They know hunger is what made them. And believe me, it's not because they were brilliant that they're wealthy, it's that they were lucky that they're wealthy. So don't be intimidated by their wealth. They need to spread it around to you.
So we only have about a minute left. Are there any pressing questions? Somebody who always shows up is John Nelson. John Nelson is the founder and CEO of Applied Research. What is Applied Research? Basically, he works the markets and he provides data sets on market behavior. Specifically, I think it's the stock market, but it might be commodities. And you can talk to him about the data that he provides his customers. He's been doing it for years. It's been a pretty stable business. But, you know, one question for him is, what's your next project? What's your next new product for your customer base? How do you keep them hooked after all these years? And what's the likelihood that somebody else could come in and do the same thing for less money? So, you know, can you help them or help him create that next product, right? What's he thinking of and what could he share with you to help develop, right?
Do an AI on his data set.
Bingo, right? Because I'll tell you, he graduated MEM more than 20 years ago. So those AI tools that you guys are familiar with, my guess is he's not as familiar with, right?
Exactly.
So it's 5:30. Anything else? Any questions or comments? Thank you, Mark. It was a nice job.
Thank you, everybody. Have fun. Good luck. Thank you.
Take care,
Thank you,
guys.
Professor.
Thank you.
Hey, by the way, the
Thank you.
slides from Mark Johnson are in the chat. If you want them, grab them from the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
Take care. Enjoy it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Professor.
Thank you all.